What's up guys, Sloth here, and these are the patch notes for Sol, called Solar Flare. Alright, let's get started with Sol right away. I'm gonna do this a little different because we have the God Reveal page already, so we can take a look at that. This is Sol, obviously, and we're gonna scroll through some of the stuff here. The lore is something you can read up on later, and so on and so on. We're going straight to the abilities because I'm talking about balance and so on as usual. First ability, or rather her passive, unstable manifestation. Sol gains heat as she uses abilities and hits with basic attacks. She gains 1% magical power and 1% attack speed for every 3% heat. At 100% heat, Sol's basic attacks gain 50% damage. Heat decreases over time. So what's obvious here, she's gonna be auto-attack focused to some extent. She gains attack speed, she gains extra basic attack power, and some magical power, which also goes into your basic attacks anyways. So, there you go. Pretty strong passive on its own, and you'll see how it works with the rest of the kit with the heat, which we'll be coming to now. We got Radiance, ability 1. Sol burns bright, gaining a large amount of heat and healing her form slowly over time and igniting the ground around her. Enemies that walk onto the fire take damage every second. Just gonna back this up with the actual numbers here, because the healing is 25% off your missing health over 5 seconds. And the damage is up to 150 plus 25% magical scaling every second. And it provides a lot of heat, up to 80%, so you can get a lot of heat just from this single ability. And it's also a heal, keep that in mind. So enemies don't want to get close to you when you use this because they're going to take damage for it. Though they probably can't even avoid the first tick or so. Zoning ability in its own, heal in its own, and a strong steroid in the sense that it gives a lot towards your passive. Second ability, Stellar Burst, as you can see here. Sol's next basic attack explodes, creating a shockwave that travels and dealing damage. At full size, the wave reacts, dealing damage again and slowing enemies. So, it hits the enemy and deals damage once, and then it kind of grows, as you can see there. And it can hit on enemies again. I think it also triggers on the target in the middle twice. And then when it retracts, it slows. So, kind of a very interesting mechanic, a lot of in one ability once again. I think it can also hit without you actually hitting the target. I think if you, like, it goes to max range and this hits the ground and still gives you the burst as well, which is kind of nice. Slow is... Hang on. Should be here, right? Well... Only gives 10% heat, but doesn't tell us anything about the slow. That's unfortunate. Whatever. Moving on to Disseparate. Sol burns down her manifestation, gaining movement speed and ignoring all movement penalties, while leaving a trail of fire behind her that deals damage to enemies. After 3 seconds, Sol loses corporeal form for a short time, and her trail explodes, stunning enemies for 1.5 seconds. Sol may leave her incorporeal form early. I don't know how to pronounce that. Anyways, movement speed buff, very nice, and the slow immunity, which is really for chasing. It's basically, it also removes basic attack slows, so it's basically a free haste and fatalis for that time, and everything else. And you get the stun, and the stun is very important because she doesn't have much CC in her kit other than that. So you want to try and basically juke around your target in a way. The immunity on top of that allows it to be a very good escape. You kind of want the enemy to chase you, and then walk away backwards, shooting them, because you don't have the walking backwards penalty either. You walk backwards, shoot them, hope they walk into your fire, stun them, get even more damage off. She's really, really, really hard to chase with this ability, and especially the immunity frames at the end that come with it. And then we get Supernova, her ultimate. I love the ability. I really like the way it's animated. It is... The way you use it is very similar to AMC's Honey. You just drag a line on the ground, and then this is where the strikes of the ability go. So, Sol unleashes all her flame and fury from the sky, striking 8 times along a movable ground target location. Enemies hit are knocked back on the first strike and take only 20% damage on successive hits. The damage numbers you can see here, it's going up to 350 damage plus 50% scaling, not too bad. Not the highest numbers for the mage, but still pretty good. But the successive hits don't deal that much, and I don't think people are going to stay in that area unless the knockback forces them to. So if you work it like really nicely and you have enough practice, you can probably drag them a little bit more towards the back, like this, the shots after the first one. If an enemy is walking towards you and they gets knocked back and flies through all of your supernova strikes. Think Mortal Kombat. Someone who did that there. Definitely a nice ability overall. We have some more artwork down here, which you can see here. Some flame booty. And there's more here. And we also have the voice pack, so you can hear a little bit of that.
Haha! I am so hot today! No more nice girl! Supernova! Let's make it hot!
Well, we got the weird French, whatever, wannabe accent going on. I don't know. It's fine with me, though. We're talking about balancing, not voice packs. And her kid seems very interesting. It's too early to say where she's gonna be in any sense, because this kid is very, very bloated. And we need to figure out what this exactly means, because the scalings are okay, I think, from what I've seen so far. But for example, we don't know the strength of the slow yet. There's other things that kind of factor. We don't know where she's gonna get played. Like, she's intended to be played mid lane, but at this point, I think she can basically be played everywhere but support. She can probably even jungle, she can solo, and she can ADC, similar to Freya. I'm not gonna be the one to say that she's broken, because I haven't touched her yet. She looks very, very strong so far. She has a lot in her kit. I'm not sure if all of that is needed, but we will see. We're getting to other batch notes, balance notes that I have an opinion on, though. Don't worry. Alright, moving on with the skins. We've got the Sol recolor, which is really cool. Interesting design. We've got the Raven Gold and Diamond whatever skins. Whatever. New Loki skin. Man, I hate Loki, but I love that skin. It's amazing. And the animations are so cool. Exploding skull on his two. Him turning into a skeleton in stealth. All that. Grim Mariachi. Lovely. Lovely skin. Great work there. Odyssey blah. Voice packs blah. Emotes blah. Avatars blah. Kali gets a new guard code after that copyright issue. She gets a community one that was really nice in the first place, so can't complain about that. Updated tutorial, some visuals there, video stuff, animating them more, really cool stuff. Also nothing I need to talk about here. Halloween event, really nice. The arena map gets some visuals, especially for Halloween. Some special minions and everything. It looks really cool so far. If you die, there's a tombstone. And there's a Halloween chest where you can get that Grim Mariachi. New play screen, meaning there's some changes to the visuals of queuing and stuff like that. It looks a little more like the Xbox style from what I've seen, or what I think the Xbox style looks like. Some stuff about privacy and achievements and blah blah blah. And now the important parts. Item changes. Mail of Renewal. Slight nerf. I have to admit, in my last patch notes review, I totally underrated this item. It's amazing now. The fact that it has physical defense, health, and CR in one item means it's the best item you can get on most assassin-ish characters or warrior-ish characters in a scenario where you don't want to fully tank and still aggress, but also want to withstand physical targets. And it also is effective health, though it works against magicals as well. Especially with a passive, toning that down is fine. The item is still very good. I totally unrated it once again, and it's still strong. 5% is not going to change much. It's very, very good still. Especially with anti-healing being fairly weak at the moment. Bluestone Pendant gets a little nerf. Reduced additional damage from 30 to 26 over 2 seconds. Good. Because it was too strong. Simple. It's not gonna be the be-all end-all nerf. Sun Wukong is still gonna be strong with it. Allows some more counterplay with Mark of the Vanguard. Mark of the Vanguard was good against it before. It's even better now, because the ticks are lower. Good change. Still problematic as it still allows you to clear solo lane really, really quick. But it's good overall. Evaluate Assault, which is nice. Shoes of Focus now provides 250 mana. Shoes of the Magi no longer provides 250 mana. And a little power increase for that to make up for it. This is interesting, and this is a very highly requested change. Because this means somebody who wants to spam abilities will buy Shoes of Focus because they give you CDR and they give you extra mana. Shoes of the Magi, on the other hand, will be for those who straight up have the burst in one rotation and they want the pen and all that and that and that. I think many people might be switching over to Shoes of Focus, especially for supports. It's great now. The mana hungry supports like Bakus or Sobek don't want the pen boots anymore because you have CDR and you have mana on that now. I do think that both will have some viability, but Focus is probably going to be picked up a lot more often. And with that, we move on to the guard changes. Apollo, the moves. Increased knockback strength from 175 to 250. I don't see why Apollo needs a buff. I don't see it. Really, he was fine. He was completely fine. He was already strong. It allows him to get away from assassins and melees even better. Because he has his mess and he has a dash and now knocks back more and like, why? But, well, as a matter of fact, the next thing might just make up for it. Awilish. Often Awilish players find themselves having to hit a very small timing window from when someone took off to when they went behind a wall. We want to reward Awilish for saving the ultimate to pull a fleeing opponent, even if they have jumped over a wall. Gravity Surge can now pull the enemies through walls with Gravity Surge. I'm out of here! Yay! Okay. Excuse me, I had to do this. If any one of you knows me for a while, you guys know how much I love Awilish, and how I always said it's bullshit that people can jump right over walls and get away from your pull when that pull is directed against it. It's so fucking nice. And you should have seen me when I watched the original patch notes because I was too hype. Like, this is just a toned down version of it now, but it's just amazing. Awilish, stronger now, better counter pick potential, scarier with knockups in your team because you can basically, somebody can tell you, yo, I knocked somebody up on the other side of there and there, pull them, bam, you can do it. You don't have the indicator, so don't be fooled, you still have to know where they are flying. Like when they're behind the wall, the indicator is not visible, but you can pull them. Your mirror walls are no longer a problem. This is like Bastet jumping off around the corner, or Saket. Done. This is amazing. That's just simply amazing. Okay, let's move on because I could talk about this all day. You could like I should seriously talk about this for like 5 more minutes. Great change, lovely, awesome, cool. Thank you, hubris. Might make a little too strong. I don't know. We'll see. Cabrakan, Reflection Shield, cooldown from 14 down to 10 to 10 at all ranks. Very good. Cabrakan, a very problematic character in itself because he has a strong potential, but he doesn't really have the capabilities to use it as soon as he falls behind once, because he doesn't really have escapes, blah blah blah. I have been leveling Reflection Shield first all the time, because I think it's a great ability in itself, with all that it provides. And with 10 at all ranks, it's quite likely that you can use it twice in a single engage if the enemy doesn't get away right away. Good. Strong. Nice. It's not gonna make him very, like, brokenly OP or take him up too much, but it's nice to give him a little buff in the right direction. Chuck, on the other hand, holy damn, boys and girls. Rain Dance, slow increase from 5% up to 25% to 20% up to 40%. If anyone doesn't realize how fucking scary that is, oh, the gods be with you. The slow is insane now. It goes up to a weakened curse level. And the range is not that small if you look at it in game. He has a 1 and a 2 to keep up the chase if you get out of the rain dance once. So he can slow you even longer. And this means that if Chark builds CDR now, which has always been good on him anyways, and builds a mystical male, he can chase you all day and tick you down. He's just gonna tick you down forever. Like, he might throw in a haste, and he might throw in some crazy stuff. Chark wasn't even that bad before. Like, I've played Chark a little lately because I wanted to try around with him again. He wasn't, like, he's not great, but he wasn't that bad. No, he's just scary. Like, anyone who ever said that Chark doesn't have late game potential will now see his fucking late game potential, because he will slow everyone all the time. And then silence them, because, you know, why not? Hubris! Atlas of the Yellow River. Hubris and his allies are now immune to slow effects while on the river, making him a direct counter to new Chark. Interesting enough. The problem for Hubris is that his overall potential is not good. He doesn't have the great early clear from middle. His boxing in solo is very risky with the momentary bluestone situation. He has little to no escape options. This buff helps him a little bit with that, but knock up, stuns, and so on are still gonna take him down. Fenrir is still gonna destroy him just as much as he used to. Don't really think it'll change the character outside of very specific counterpicks. Ho ye damn. And I'm saying that like holy damn. I hope you heard that, because this guy. Ho ye is a hunter who lacks a hard steroid to really allow him to box, instead focusing on landing powerful and stunning ricochets to make up for this. By lowering the cooldown, Ho ye players should feel more impactful more often, while also taking less of a risk when they go for those double bounce trick shots. Reduce cooldown from 14 to 10 seconds on ricochet. And an issue with projectile accuracy. I hope that's the glitch where you couldn't hit the bounce for some reason when you hit it. Dive bomb increased physical damage scaling from 30% to 60%. You can use this quite often in lane now, clearing the wave and then trying to poke you before the next wave comes in. That's ricochet for you. And also dive bomb all the time. 6% scaling is not to be fooled around with. He might just be a guy that could benefit from trends now. What can I say? Bounce, bounce! I say, come on, bounce. Ho ye all day, all night. He's gonna be scary. Very scary. Still a niche pick in some senses, because he's not easy to play, similar to Ullr. He's not gonna be like the hunter you pick because he's an easy win, but he's strong. He is very strong if you can play him. Mercury. I haven't seen this one, unfortunately, with my stream was glitching. So, Mercury players who use the fastest god alive to its fullest often see themselves landing very powerful in hands out of their ultimates or when ganking. We like this playstyle and how it forces people to go just far enough with their ultimate so they can turn around and punch the god with a powerful hit. Because of this, we have chosen to up the payoff potential of his passive. Increase maximum damage bonus for distance traveled from 50% to 75%. Special delivery increased throw height from 300 to 350. Alright, fastest god alive buff is nice. That's gonna be scary crits if he hits them. Cool stuff. Definitely cool stuff. Special delivery. I'm not sure what that means. Height? An actual height? Like, how high? If it's not like the distance, then I'm unsure what it's gonna do. Throw over walls? Would be very unfortunate for him. I don't think it is. Maybe it increases the duration they are in air afterwards, so you can hit them with autos. That would make sense. Probably that. Although, like, if I'm wrong here, excuse me. Nemesis Retribution reduced cooldown from 18 to 16 seconds. Yeah. We can say Nemesis is viable. I will tell you she's not. And I don't think this shield is going to change that. Because she simply doesn't have the early potential. Needs too much of a specific lineup to be effective. And is overall just left behind other top junglers at the moment. Still love her as much as I used to, but I don't think 2 seconds on Retribution is going to change that. What she wants, what she needs is something to help with her early clear and her early potential at stuff like mid-camps and so on and so on. Unless you put her into a team comp where she can work perfectly well late game. knocks Shadow Lock. This ability now cripples in addition to roots, meaning you can dash out, jump out. Doesn't affect too many guards, because most of the time you're gonna be stuck in her silence anyways when she uses Shadow Lock. So what was pointed out in the patch notes is that it's actually something specifically against Janus, who can then no longer go through his portal when he stands right next to the wall, because he's crippled. And there's a little targeting accuracy on Night Terror. Sobek, something I've also haven't seen. I've also haven't seen yet. Yeah, right. After looking at Sobek's performance and his limiting factors, we chose to lower the mana cost on his abilities. Heck yeah. As well as give his ultimate more utility. This is so great. I've waited for this for so long because his mana costs are insane. Lowering his mana cost means that he should be able to protect his teammates and catch enemies much more often. Increasing the utility on his ultimate means that he has better engage potential with this ability, while also allowing his ultimate to act as a much stronger deterrent for chasing enemies. Charge Prey reduced mana from 70 to 100 to 70 to 90. Sickening Strike reduced mana from 70 to 100 to 60 to 80. Really good. Lurking in the waters, Sobek now increases protections by 30% while submerged. Slow increased from 15 to 35 to 20 to 40%. Alright, so what does this mean? He has the same amount of slow as Shark now, which is then in comparison fairly weak, but he's got a wider range. He's gaining extra protections, which is really good. He has more potential because his mana costs are not insanely high anymore, and he doesn't have to basically back after using his abilities once. He also benefits from the new CDR boots buff, where he can now get CDR boots, use his abilities more often, and still have some mana left. And then it also means that his cooldown for his ultimate is lower, so he can use his ult more often in order to get more mana back. So you see how this works together, which is really nice in total. Very, very good changes to Sobek. I like that. I like making him more viable and not so mana buff dependent. Tyr changed stance, increased. Why do I always read decreased? Oh, decreased is afterwards. Increased defense stance protections from 8 to 40 to 10 to 50. Right, 10 protections on the highest level and 2 on the lowest. I don't know if that's gonna do much, but fair enough. Decreased cooldown from 15 to 11 to 14 to 10. 1 second. Wow. The problem with Tyr is that Tyr just struggles with the blink nerfs more than anyone else, because he was always dependent on blink, and other gods just picked it up because it helps them even more. For Tyr, it's kind of a must-have, and I think he would need a little more of a buff, but it's okay. For now, it's a start. Vulcan Backfire. Fixed issue with ability preemptively flee hitting collision. Very good, because it prevented him from dealing damage, basically. Very, very good. Xingtian. When viewing Xingtian's performance, we noticed his ultimate was still providing a high amount of damage tied to a very potent, potentially team-wide crowd control effect. We have adjusted the scaling down and increased the cooldown to 100 seconds at all ranks to control the potency of this skill to still be strong but more manageable. Increased cooldown to 100 from going down to 80 seconds. Reduced magical power scaling from 20% to 10%. I don't think it was necessary. Xingtian was in a very good spot. He wasn't broken anymore. Capri isn't. Capri's still broken as fuck. Capri's higher win rates. Capri's probably better stats and everything, basically. Unless you're talking about kills, but... Then you have Xingtian, who just gets more of a nerf with less of a threat. Too many people haven't even played him since his first nerf and don't even know what he plays like now. His ultimate doesn't deal too much damage unless you build into a heavy amount of power, because most players will beat it preemptively anyways. So taking more damage away from that makes it a tickle now with a higher cooldown. The cooldown, I don't think it hurts that much. 20 seconds, sure, it sucks, but you're still gonna build some CR anyways and all that. But he just didn't need another nerf. It was fine where it was, I think. Well, whatever, we'll see. Jongus. Zhonghui is a mage that needs to get into the middle of the fight to be effective. While he has tools in his kit to help him, we felt that in too many situations he just didn't have what he needed to get the job done. We've increased some of his base stats as well as allowed him to have magical protection scaling to help him in later phases of the game. We will be watching these changes closely to see how it affects the Demon Queller. Base stats: increased base health from 400 to 450, increased health per level from 75 to 85, increased magical protections per level from 0 to 0.9. Good. This is basically the Freya treatment for a god that should get the Freya treatment, while Freya never needed it. Because this guy is literally in the middle of the fight. His ultimate is best when you stand in a clusterfuck of enemies. So you need protections for that. And you always had to build them. And they were always allowed. And you were not capable of standing in lane too long. You had the heal, which healed you up, but then you didn't have the clear that others had. So blah, blah, blah. This gives them some opportunities. Probably more in solo lane than mid lane, really. But it's nice overall. That's the end of these patch notes. And boy, there was a lot in this one. I like most of the changes. I pointed out the ones that I think are weak, but I like the approach to this patch, focusing a lot more on different guard changes and a lot of long-standing issues targeted here that I personally was annoyed with as well. For example, the Willish pull or the Sobek mana issue. So I really approve of this patch. I like the way this was done. I'd love to see more of those patches in the future. And I'd love to hear your guys' opinions. Let me know what you think about Sol. Because, Jesus Christ, I think she'd be scary. Until I read your comments, thank you for watching. Hope to see you next time. And there's something very cool coming tomorrow. Besides everything that I said here. Something very cool is coming tomorrow. I'm not going to spoil more, but something very cool is coming tomorrow. I'm going to spoil. Not on my channel. Trust me, it's going to be cool. Tjungsloth, out.